What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Let's get straight into it. Today we're going to talk about how to write a cold email script that doesn't sound like spam. This is your definitive detailed guide on creating emails that resonate with prospects, generate replies, and never feel spammy. Full disclaimer, this is my approach. This is what I have learned from my experience and am currently learning, but this is always subject to change, and it will always be fluid as the market changes, as the lead generation space changes. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So in this video, we're going to cover the ideal email structure. We're going to cover common spam triggers, tone and language rules that I don't think anybody's really talking about, at least that I've seen. We're going to talk about the key principles of a great cold email. We're going to talk about pro operator tips, so high-level tips to further optimize your cold emails for maximum deliverability, readability, and results. And then we're going to go over a complete example of all the stuff we're talking about and a checklist so that you can have something that's really easy to follow and confirm that your emails meet every standard before you send this. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Pablo Melandu. I'm the founder and CEO of Vintascale, a B2B lead generation agency that specializes in cold email. Without further ado, let's continue. So, email structure. The structure of your email, how your email is shaped, built, put together, the order. Crafting a high-performing cold email isn't luck. It's not magic. There's no secret sauce. I see a lot of that on the internet. What's the secret sauce? How do you get high reply rates? How do you do this, that, and the third? It's not luck. It's precision. It's experience. You got to fail a lot, but it's precision. There's intention, right? There's an intention towards building a proper cold email. Every successful cold email, just moving my fan closer because it's really hot. Every successful cold email is thoughtfully designed using 5 key structural elements, each with a clear purpose. Number 1, your subject line, right? So let's just go straight into the subject line. The subject line is the first impression. The most important thing about a cold email in terms of getting replies, if that's what you're after, is who it's coming from. We're going to assume, because we're talking about cold email, that the prospect doesn't know who you are unless you're a big name brand like Gary Vee. I'm not Gary Vee. Neither are you, I'm assuming. If you're watching this, Gary Vee, shout out to you. But that's the most important thing. But we can't control that right now, can we? And if you really think about this even deeper, that's part of why I'm even making YouTube videos and putting out content aggressively, is because of the trust factor. The more we can do to mediate and bring the trust factor in our favor, the better. But we can't control the fact that they don't know us. It's forever going to be cold email. So the next best thing is the subject line. The whole goal of the subject line is to invoke curiosity while keeping it simple. It's the whole gatekeeper of your message. So just keep it short. Unless your subject line is the subject line is meant for the person to open the email. That's it. That's its only purpose. To invoke curiosity, to have them open the email. You don't got to think about this too hard. There's no magic subject line. In fact, this really shouldn't take that much thought. There are subject lines that are proven to work, which we'll go over later in this video. Unless, you can test different subject lines, but unless your subject lines are vastly outperforming the ones we'll talk about and the ones that are just standard in the industry, don't change it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Keep it short. Avoid market jargon. Things like a promotion or whatever that might look like. Use lowercase or casual capitalization. Match the tone to the recipient's industry. Those are just general things, but I really this is the bottom of my priority list when it comes to email structure. In fact, I usually just use the most common subject lines. Because if you were to track your open rates, which you're not going to, because that will hurt your deliverability. If you were to track your open rates, you would probably, unless your subject line and everything about your opening text stinks, you're probably going to get an open rate that is in your favor. I'm talking at least over 50%. But that's the subject line. Again, don't give this too much thought. Use the quick questions. Use the idea for company name or idea for whatever it is your value proposition is. Just keep it simple. Don't give this too much thought. Next, so we have the subject line that's covered. Next is the first line. Some people call this the hook. I don't like to hook anybody into anything. I like relevance. So I'm probably going to rename this to the relevance line. Who are you? Who are you and why are you emailing me? Like, let me know right now. That is what that first line is for, and it should answer that question in like 3 seconds tops. Who are you and why are you emailing me? You have about 3 seconds to let me know that you're not some spammer who's trying to con me into some scam. You're a scammer unless proven otherwise. You're guilty until proven innocent in the cold lead generation space. Cold calling, cold emailing, cold LinkedIn DMs. You're a scammer by default. In that first line, you have to let me know very simply. Again, don't give this too much thought. Who are you and why are you reaching out? Your first sentence proves you're not just sending mass spam. You want to have that tailored one-to-one effect, ideally, the closest you can. Prospects, the people you're emailing, immediately look for proof that you've taken the time to understand them. Make it personalized. Avoid generic compliments like congrats on the success. We all know you don't really care. Avoid vague statements. Reference something specific about their company. So one thing really standard one that I might do is, hey, George, I came across Procter & Gamble while looking at consumer packaging goods firms in California. Now, I wouldn't go after Procter & Gamble, at least not in this point in my journey. I really have no business doing that. But the point of that is we've specified the company name. So I know you're coming directly to me or to Procter & Gamble. And we've specified the location, like 2 little things there that are just enough to get them to read the next line. That's the whole point. Just keep them there. We don't want them hitting the spam button is the whole point of that line. The relevance line, the first line. Hey, Pablo, came across Vintascale, I found Vintascale while looking up lead generation firms in Ontario. Okay, cool. I don't need to be impressed by the first line. This isn't the whole, you're not here to impress anybody. You just need to, no, this is not spam. That's the whole point of that line. This is not spam. This email is not spam. That's what you're trying to communicate with that first line. Is this email is not spam. It was purposely, I actually took the time to write this email for you specifically, Pablo or George or Jimmy. That's what that whole first line is about. Don't give this too much thought. Just make it relevant to them. Just make it relevant. Make it relevant to me. Make it relevant to Gary V. Hey, Gary V. I came across VaynerMedia while looking at B2B agencies, marketing agencies in New York. Now, catch this. VaynerMedia is a huge marketing agency worth hundreds of millions of dollars, that company, if not billions. I'm not going to make my relevance line, hey, I came across VaynerMedia while looking up marketing firms in New York. That's not that, right? So you write this. If you're going to make a template, first off, make your own template. Second, when you're writing that relevance line, write it personally to like think of an avatar and write out the email line by line, structure by structure, section by section as we're going through this. Write this out to one particular person. And then later we can underline what about that can be AI, or what about that can be like a variable? So the state or the city or location, whatever it is, like you want this to feel somewhat tailored. Somewhat tailored. Again, the whole point, if you're going to take away anything from the from the relevance line, is it's well, number one, to make it relevant, and number two, do enough to communicate that this is not spam, that this was actually a thing. Now, some people are predisposed to marking you spam anyway. You can't control that. But by and large, just make it seem like you're not a robot. Put some sort of effort. Some sort of effort. Whether it's location, at least company name. One thing I did was for startup recruiters, I ran a campaign for recruitment firms, recruitment agencies that work specifically with startups. Simple relevance line. Hey, John, I came across John Human Capital while looking up recruitment firms that service startups in California. So let's take a look at the layers. Company name is layer 1. That's relevant. Like, it's how many relevance points are we getting here? Company name, that's 1. Recruitment firms, I was looking up recruitment firms, right? I came across John Human Capital while looking up recruitment firms, so that's 2. That prioritize startups, so that's 3. Even deeper now, we're 3 layers deep. In California, that's 4. That's me. Like John would be saying, that's me, right? Hey, Pablo, I came across Vintascale while looking up B2B lead generation firms that service recruitment agencies in Ontario. I would be like, oh shoot, this person was looking for, they were looking for me. they were looking for me. That's how relevance works. That's what people mean when you hear people in this space talking about relevance. That's what that is. Right? And there's so many different ways to go about this. My recommendation would be, and this is what I'm doing right now, is to stick to one sort of format and let your creativity expand naturally. Don't try and force relevance lines. Another really, really good thing to do is just look up examples, like read a ton of examples of great cold emails or successful cold emails. And you'll start to memorize the patterns, and you'll start to drill in this stuff and understand what good relevance lines or first lines look like. I should also have said before, like as we started this email structure section, is all of these can be moved around, and you don't have to have some of these things. The first line, the relevance line, can be moved into the PS line. The relevance line is usually where we have most of the personalization as well. That's a huge key point. Oh, I did include that in there. That's great. But anyway, that's the relevance line. Let's move on. I had to drill that down, because if you don't get that part right, not doing too much, not doing too little, but if you don't get it within the right green range, they hit the spam button or they hit the trash button, and you're done. Let's move on. I had a thought, but let's move on. So that's the first line. So now the problem statement or question. This is optional. Prospects only care if you can help solve their problems. Now you got to know what the problems are, or if they have problems. Clearly naming a challenge they experience, and they're experiencing right now, positions you as someone who genuinely understands their reality. For example, hey Pablo, I came across Vintascale while looking up B2B lead generation firms that service recruitment agencies in North America. I've been speaking to a lot of founders of lead generation agencies, and they tell me that gaining trust with recruitment firms is an issue. That would capture my attention. That's a problem statement. That's a problem in the lead generation space. That would capture my attention. At this point, I'm not marking you as spam anymore. I'm not. Because it's just relevant. If anything, I'll throw it in the trash bin if I don't want to respond, or I just won't respond, or I'll throw it in the archives. But I'm not marking it as spam because it's not annoying. I might just not be interested in it, but it's not annoying. It's not invasive. You don't need a problem statement. You don't need to ask a question. A question would be like poking the bear. I got that from Josh Braun. A question would be like, what are you doing about all the, how exactly are you going about gaining trust amongst staffing and recruitment firms quickly? How are you going about gaining trust quickly among staffing and recruitment firms? Like that's a question. See how those two things kind of relate? Like you can make it a statement or you can make it a question. Either or. Either or. Either or. I'd probably prefer a question, but either or. But that's what that is. And that just lets them know, and if I was reading that, that would let me know that you're thinking about the right things, we're on the same page, and you have some sort of expertise here. You understand, or at least even if you don't, you understand my day-to-day reality of doing business, of what it's like to run a lead generation agency. Optional, but nice to have. One thing I'm like, as we're trending towards shorter and shorter emails, which we'll talk about later, don't like, if it's of substance, include it in there. There's no hard rule that says you have to be under 50 words. If it is relevant, if it's going to make them think, throw it in there, right? Throw it in there. So moving on. So we have the problem statement. We've asked the question. We've poked the bear. Now we throw in the offer. The offer is a must have. Okay. So there are advanced strategies that I'm not going to get into in this video. There are advanced strategies, for the more advanced folks, like the 1-2 punch strategy, where you literally just ask a question and then in the follow-up email we throw in the offer, or we give more context. Like there are more advanced strategies, but for right now, for a foolproof, dummy-proof cold email, the offer is a must-have. What do you want? Like now, granted, from the time I've opened the email to the time I'm at the offer line, which is it's either the second or third line, maybe 5 to 10 seconds, depending on how fast you read. 5 to 7 seconds have elapsed, so it's very quick. But it pays to think about this stuff more deeply than your competition. It really does pay. It really, really, really does. The offer needs to be clear, simple, and direct. So simple, you can read this whole email. This whole email has to be in such simple language that your mom or dad would understand it without any prior context. We don't need industry jargon. Don't do that. Sorry, hold on. Industry jargon does help, but not the corporate jargon. Screw that stuff. The offer needs to be simple, direct, clear. What do you want? Prospects won't invest energy to decode your offer. It has to be instantly understandable, valuable, and directly tied to the problem that you just mentioned. Limit yourself to one core offer per email. Clearly state what you deliver or achieve, and directly connect the offer to their stated problem. So whether or not you have stated the problem or you've asked a question, the offer should be as simple as the following. We help X person or X profile or X company achieve Y result in Z time. We help lead generation agencies or staffing agencies achieve Y result. So book 5 to 15 sales meetings a month, guaranteed. Right? So Y result, 5 to 15 sales meetings in Z time, in 30 days or 90 days. That's the offer. Don't make it fancy. Don't make it any more fancy than it needs to be. Another thing that you might want to do below the offer, I didn't include this, but seriously think about it, is a risk reversal. You can include it in the same sentence as the offer or in a separate sentence. I don't like the whole dashes thing where it's like kind of connecting two sentences. Let's just put it in two separate sentences. We help staffing firms book 5 to 15 job orders a month, or 5 to 15. We connect staffing firms with 5 to 15 new hiring managers, or 10 new hiring managers a month. Or you don't pay, or no upfront costs, like whatever the thing is, right? The risk reversal, the guarantee, offers in themselves, that should be a whole other video, which I will likely do. I will do. But for now, check out Daniel Fazio. Check out Alex Hormozi. Read $100 million offers. Literally the most popular and probably, and rightfully so, book on offer creation. That's the offer statement. Lastly, the call to action. So, simple, low pressure question. Your whole goal is to make it easy and safe to reply, even if they say no, even if they say no thanks. It just make it easy and safe to reply. Your call to action must feel low risk and conversational. Prospects should never feel concerned or pushed into a sales call immediately. Your goal is not to sell the thing. It's not to sell your offer. It's not to you're not trying to make a deal over a cold email. It's just to book a meeting. It's just to book a call. And how you do that is you build trust, which is why I love lead magnets. And we'll talk about that the other day. In fact, I'm writing that down right now. Another thing I just wrote down is one of the first things I like to test is my CTA. A/B test that. But regardless, your whole goal is to just get them on a call. Get them on a call. You do that by building trust. Be human in this whole process. Guys, just be human. Give them something. Take your time. CTAs that I like, are you interested in hearing more? Are you interested in hearing more? Are you open to learning more? Are you interested in a quick chat? Would this be worth a quick chat? Would this be worth discussing further? That's it. The words don't matter. It's what you're communicating. The words don't matter. It's what you're communicating. The words don't matter. It's what you're communicating. That's it. That's copywriting 101. Not the words. It's not the words. It's what you're communicating. That's a CTA. That's it. That's it. So that's email structure in a nutshell. So here's a real life cold email example before we get too carried away with theory. Hiring bottleneck at company name. All right. Hey, George, I saw your recent post about expanding your SDR team. Exciting times. That exciting times thing is not that important. You can remove that whole thing. It's actually a little bit more fluffy than I like. I chat GPT'd some of this, which is good because you can see how I as a human would approach it. But I do use chat GPT a lot too, to get a base. But you could literally just add, right for that first line, right? Hey, George, saw your recent post about expanding your SDR team. Just leave it there. That's super relevant because George did make a post about expanding his SDR team. Scammers or spammers are not doing that. They're not checking people's LinkedIn. Now there are ways to scrape recent LinkedIn posts, so you can AI a lot of that. So we have the first line. We're good now. We're all right, right? We have that first line. Second line is the problem statement slash question. I just gonna be totally honest here. I don't usually include this. I typically don't. If I do, it's a question. Maybe I should. Maybe I should test this. But regardless, this one says, I know ramping up quality hires quickly can be tough, especially with limited internal resources. Like there are some assumptions made. How do you know I have limited internal resources? How do you, like, but you don't know everything. So it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot. I should also mention that there is nothing, and this is worth writing down. There is nothing more important than the offer. And this whole thing, there's nothing more important than the offer. Nothing. The other stuff helps. It makes it seem like it's not spam, but there's nothing more important than the offer. So here comes the offer statement. We take care of the sourcing, outreach, and initial screening, delivering pre-qualified candidates ready for final interviews. You only pay for the candidates you hire. Decent offer. Quite common, but decent offer. Decent offer. You only pay for the candidates you hire. That's the risk reversal. If you didn't catch that, that's the risk reversal right there that we were talking about. That's it. And then the CTA, worth a quick chat. Worth a quick chat could just be the CTA itself. ChatGPT thought it should fluff this up a bit. Worth a quick chat to see if this aligns with your hiring goals. Best, Pablo. P.S. Totally understand if this isn't a priority, just let me know and I'll leave you alone. Why is that P.S. line right there so important? This is a debate in the lead generation space. I have found that my deliverability has gotten better when I have included an opt-out statement, not an opt-out link, not an unsubscribe link, but an opt-out statement, a friendly, low-pressure way to say, hey, if you're not interested, if this is bothersome on any level, just let me know and I will leave you alone. I will not reach out ever again. I'll put you on my do not contact list. I'll remove you from my list. Why is that so important? Because the alternative is they hit the spam button. Like, that's one of the major alternatives, which we don't want. Because deliverability, and I was just reading this last night, and I want to read this over and over again because it was so helpful. I read this comment on Reddit where it said deliverability. There's a myth around deliverability. This is a whole separate video. Deliverability, that's, there's some magic stuff going on behind the scenes. No, it's mostly controlled by people hitting the spam button on your email. The more people hit the spam button, the more your deliverability drops. And if you find that your deliverability is dropping quite quickly, it's because you're not sending good emails. Ta-da! And you will find, as a beginner, and I'm still very early in my journey, you will find that it's easier said than done to make a good cold email. Why? Because, especially North America, people are getting cold emails all the time. It's not some novel thing. We know what a cold email is. It's just like we know what a cold call is. People are predisposed to hitting spam. Write good emails. Become dedicated to writing good emails. The offer is going to be the offer. Like, you can copy a good offer from someone else. Just look at what's working right now in the industry. Just look at what's working right now. Just copy someone who is making a lot of money. Just copy their offer. Copy their CTA. Copy their subject line. Sure. But putting it all together, making sure that it's not like walls of paragraphs and making it relevant, making sure that it passes the mental spam filters, let alone Google and Microsoft's AI spam filters, but more importantly, the mental spam filter. That's the tricky part. The psychology behind the cold email. Right. So, final checklist. Quickly double check these elements before you launch your email campaign. Subject line, make sure it's short, curiosity-based, relevant. Your first line, make sure it's personalized and immediately proves relevance. Your problem statement, optional, but if you're going to include it, make it concise, clearly relates to the prospect situation, and it can also be posed as a question, which I personally prefer. The offer, most important part of the cold email. One clear, outcome-focused, easy to understand value proposition. Your CTA, Low commitment, conversational, easy to reply to. Your format, plain text, we'll cover this later. Clean formatting, short paragraphs, no links, we'll talk about this later. And then an opt-out, so a friendly, low-pressure way to say not interested. The most important, like, this is going to be a whole other video, but we're talking about how not to land in spam. Another important way as to not land in spam is to make sure you're sending this to the right people. Make sure you're sending this to who it's meant to go to. And people think they're doing that when they build their lead list and they're doing the segmenting, but usually they're not. Usually, especially beginners, I know this because I, until very recently, was making these same mistakes. For instance, they're scraping manufacturing companies and they're making an offer where it's like, hey, I'll get you leads or you don't pay. Great offer. I'll double your monthly revenue in 90 days or you don't pay. Great offer. But then they're sending it to manufacturing companies with like one employee they're sending the same thing to manufacturing companies that have one employee all the way up to 500 employees. Do you think who runs like a manufacturing company who's really big? Do you think some construction mogul or some manufacturing tycoon is going to trust you that from a cold email? None that there's anything wrong with you, but just someone they don't know with doubling the business revenue, meaning we have to let you into our books on some level and trust you with our brand reputation and our company reputation. Like that. So making sure you're emailing the right people and then tailoring this. This is why I started off this video early on by saying, write this one-to-one. Like really, 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 really think about who you're talking to. Is this a CEO / founder? A CEO / founder of a company with 5 people? Or a company with 5,000 people? How much revenue are they doing? What space are they in? Like, really take a deep breath. Take some time. Because you can only hit send once. Take some time to really think about who you're talking to. Please. You can never do that enough. I still do that to this day. Let's keep going. Spam triggers. So we talked about the mental spam filter. Now let's talk about Google's and Microsoft / Outlook spam filters. So it's not enough to write persuasive cold emails. You also need to make sure they get delivered, that they get read. I'm trying to see how far I can zoom into this without cutting it off. You need to make sure that they get delivered, that they get read, and don't trigger spam filters or subconscious this feels spammy alarms in your reader's mind. So that's the mental spam filter. So there's 2 enemies here. There's the technical spam filter, like, the AI behind Google, Outlook, and Yahoo, which is getting insanely good, better every day. And then there's the human spam filter, so the actual person. A cold email is what you would say to someone on the street if you've never met them. Or a cold call. Like, think about it like that. Think about it like that. Someone who doesn't know you, right? Let's say you went to some networking convention with a bunch of lead generation owners. We don't know each other. What would you say to me in person? That's the cold email. And that's how little trust you have, or you're starting off with. Or how little trust they have, with you. So, first thing, when it comes to avoiding spam triggers, no links. This has been said a lot. It's probably not the first time you're hearing this. But no links. Why? The AI filters just don't like links. They just don't like links. They don't like links. If you want to include a link, I send lead magnets a lot. That's a primary strategy of mine. Mention it. Hey, I made you this thing. Don't link it yet. You link it when there's interest. Why? Because when there's interest, when they have replied to you, you're now in their inbox, so you can get away with sending a link. For example, want me to send over a quick 2-minute video that explains how this works. Hey, I source candidates using AI. Want me to send a quick video on how this works? Yes, or they'll respond with yes or no. If they respond with yes, then you send them the link. Because there's engagement there now. Number 2, avoid spam trigger words. I hate this stuff, but it matters. So, I hate this stuff, but it matters, unfortunately. Why do I hate it? Because I don't know how accurate it is. It's better than nothing. But like there are really, really simple words, everyday words. Sometimes I ignore this, to be honest. Like I've had some successful campaigns without paying too much attention to this stuff, but it matters. It matters. But things like so you can see it's highlighting what it's highlighting here, and then it'll have an overall score. This is Mail Meteor, by the way. It's not the only tool you can use to check spam words, but things like money, things like free, right? What I hate is words like combinations like for you. it's spam, right? Like I can, like, this is crazy. Watch this. I can do this for you for free. Like that lands you, that right there lands you in the promotions tab, which is almost as bad, arguably just as bad as spam. Not just as bad, but it's like the second worst thing. I can do this for you for free. Words like new, like words you'd never expect, end up in spam. So here, let's go back to the default template. So look, so like friend is apparently unnatural, right? Guaranteed, can't use words like guaranteed. Like, now don't be so rich. Like, hey, hold on. If the offer is good, if the copy makes sense, like if just a normal email, if it makes sense, by and large you will be good. But there are some words that will get you the boot into the spam filter or will boot you into the promotions tab. Things like money. Things like the dollar sign. So we need to come up with alternatives, right? So instead of $5, $, you can put something like $5. Whoa, scratch that. 5 USD. There we go. You can put in 5 USD, right? Instead of something like, and you can see it right here, 5%, right? Instead of something like 5%, you can do 5 with the actual word percent. So there are ways around it. It's worth checking out. It's not the end all be all, but it's just do it. Why? Because you want to take all measures necessary to avoid the spam filter. Because once you're in the spam filter, you're done. You're not getting out of there. Nobody checks their spam filter purposely because it's spam. Why? What business do I have going in my spam filter? We run, all these folks run multi 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figure businesses. They don't have time to be scrolling through their spam folder. They just don't. They don't. So don't end up in spam. Like, we're taking every measure possible. Because one of these guys can be your client. And you can genuinely help these people. Scratch everything I just said. You genuinely can help these people. So this is worth doing. Now, that's avoiding spam trigger words. Number 3 is text wall. So no massive blocks of text ever. Don't do that. I personally hate that. Don't do that. 1 sentence per idea and 1 idea per sentence. What that means is if you have to, let's go to Hemingway. If you have to, so yeah, this is a sample email I was writing before, right? That's a look at that, voila. So notice I have none of the following. I said one idea per sentence, right? Or one sentence per idea. So I can help you book 10 sales meetings a month and do it with AI. The and is when it should be two sentences. Almost always. The and is like, try not to use and. If you're going to do anything, let's do that. So, crunch down. I can help you book 10 sales meetings a month with AI or with cold email. One idea per sentence, right? I hope that makes sense. Like the overarching idea is like, what is the offer? Right? That I can help you book 10 sales meetings. Cold email is just a mechanism, but it falls under like what we're talking about is the fact that I can help you book 10 sales meetings. What's the most important thing in this sentence? Keep that there. Case in point right here. Right? Let's continue. So no text walls, no marketer speak, nothing like, what would marketer speak be? Marketer speak would be like, I don't know, 15, like it sounds like a commercial, like the ShamWow guy. I should have included an example, but what you want to do is talk how you talk to someone at a coffee shop. Remember I said in person or over a DM? Just relax. Take it easy. These are people at the end of the day reading your emails. They're real people. Just talk to them like that. We help recruitment firms get 5 to 10 more job orders every month. Connect with 5 to 10 new hiring managers every month without paid ads or job boards. Just keep it so simple. These are people. You're going to hop on a call with them, right? You want to like talk like that, right? Like that. Just keep it. Just keep it cool. Like, don't be the ShamWow guy. Bonus. Don't be overly formal. No, I hope this email finds you well. You don't hope you find me well. You don't know me. You have no stake in my life or whether I'm doing well or not. It's just the reality of things. Sorry. And there's going to come a moment where you think to put that in the email because it's going to separate you because you think, oh, well, no cold emailer is writing it, so maybe I should add it in. Don't. Overly salesy tone. I'm excited to share, but like all the typical LinkedIn stuff. Like I'm excited to share my new promotion at Bain and Co. or Bain and Company. Or I'm excited to announce my new promotion at Gold. Like, don't be the LinkedIn. Don't talk like the LinkedIn folks. And that's funny because I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn now. Oh, cool, because I have to. Don't try too hard to sound important. Just keep it brief. This is what helps me sleep at night. They're either interested or they're not. They're either interested or they're not. You're either capturing someone who's interested. You're capturing that interest, or you're not. There's a way to generate interest. That's a whole other video. But they're either interested or they're not. Phrases that scream template. I help businesses like yours. Yeah. There are just that's not a hard rule. It's not a hard rule, but just write it from scratch or take someone's template and then just rewrite it. But, I help businesses like yours. What does that even mean? I help lead generation agencies. I'm helping lead generation agencies. I'm helping recruitment firms. I help, like, what is I help businesses like yours? What does that mean? right? So simple formula to get this all right. The spam filter stuff. Talk like a human. Talk like you're talking to someone at a coffee shop or on a sidewalk in a busy street in Manhattan. Respect their inbox. You know, don't be spammy. Just don't be spammy. Be a business person. Prove that this is all relevant. Remember that first line, and invite conversation, not commitment. That's it. Take it easy. Now, key principles. Let's talk about some stuff. Tone and language rules. It's the next section. Excuse me. So this just ensures your emails feel human, genuine, and trustworthy. Because that's what we're getting at here. Your cold email's tone is as important as the offer. So the tone is like, you know, does this feel like a pitch? Is it super aggressive? Don't think too much about this stuff, but just how you feel writing it is how the other person's going to feel reading it. Energy transfers in that way. It's the second your email feels like a pitch, it feels like a template, feels like a robot wrote it. The human brain filters it out, whether or not the offer was relevant. People are not dumb. They're not stupid. Now there are ways to have AI and ChatGPT write your whole email and still have it be really relevant. Like in those cases you're feeding AI so many prompts or multiple layers of prompts to get to the point where like you pretty much just wrote it yourself anyway. But I digress. Your words must feel like a real human conversation. Now, I will link this document in the description below. But how I would generally categorize this or frame this is keep it conversational, casual, keep the sentences simple, a 5th grade reading level. If I open up Hemingway again, this draft right here is, well, let me remove this. As you can see with your own eyes, it's a grade 6 level. And if I removed this right here, it would be a grade 4 level. It's because the company names can throw this off, but again, people are not like, these are humans. They're not AI robots. Just keep it simple is the whole point. That went to my call page. Here we are. Simple sentences, 5th grade reading level, 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th. Don't get too dumb. Don't dumb it down too much and go for like a 2nd grade. You don't need it that much. No fake flattery. I'm amazed by your incredible success. No, you're not. Again, are you going to tell someone you just met on the street that you're amazed by their incredible success? No. What you might say is, if you ran into me, you might say, "Hey, Pablo, I'm amazed by anybody able to compete in the lead gen space. It's super cutthroat." Especially, and then make it more relevant, especially in location name or especially in cold email, right? Make it right. You might say something like that. Notice you're expanding your team. Must be exciting. That could do. That could do. Curious, not pushy. Right? Pushy would be like, we have the perfect solution for your problem. Let's get on a call. That's pushy. Curious is this something that even resonates with your current focus? So let's reframe it in our heads that these aren't sales emails. This is us genuinely looking to help and just starting a conversation to see if this makes sense for them. We're just trying to sort people out. Hey, I got this thing. Does this interest you at all? Does this make sense for you? That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. Hey, I notice you're in this space. You serve this kind of person. I'd actually love to make this thing for you just to see if it would help. Or I actually have this thing that I made or I'm actually willing to do this for free for you. Does that interest you? We're just trying to get a clear yes or a no. That's it. Let's move on. So, some pro tips. Most beginners obsess over the copywriting, over the lists, which are both crucial and critical, but the pros know, and I wouldn't consider myself a pro. I'm a student of the game. But the further you get into this game, the more you understand that the mechanics of how you send is just as important as what you send. What do I mean by that? Follow-ups. This will be a whole separate video on just follow-ups, but use the same subject line. Always offer a clean opt-out, like we mentioned before. P.S. If this isn't relevant, just let me know. I'll leave you alone. If now's not the right time, just reply no, and I won't bug you again. I might take that. But that's a great opt-out line. Another thing is to avoid open rate tracking. You may do that just in the beginning just to see where you're at, but it really doesn't matter. If you're going to turn it off anyway, don't do it because it hurts your deliverability, like we mentioned before. So yeah, I'm gonna remove this whole. Okay, I did put it incorrectly. That's great. I just read that wrong. Yeah, it destroys deliverability, and then send it in plain text. No links, no HTML, plain text on any sequencer, on any email sending platform. Smart Lead Instantly. There's an option to send it in plain text. Find it. I will show it to you when I do my Smart Lead tutorial. Find it and select it. Only send it in plain text. Bonus, shorter emails beat longer emails by and large. There's no hard rule, but by and large. You guys can't even see what I'm trying to show down here. There we go. If your first email is more than 100, if your first email is more than 75 words, trim it. I'm going to edit that. If your sentences are over 15 words long, split the, okay. ChatGPT was doing a little too much in this Gamma doc. Sorry, the Gamma doc was doing a little too much. And then keep your sending volume safe. That'll be another video. But ignore these three down here. Shorter beats longer every time. Not too short, but compact, concise. Clear, concise, to the point. My old manager, when I was working at a recruitment firm, told me that. We were doing cold calls. Clear, concise, and to the point. I used to ramble a lot. Now, let's apply all these tips. Quick question about Vintascale, my company. Hey, Pablo, I noticed you're expanding your SDR team. Congrats on the growth. That's relevant. A lot of teams tell me, I wouldn't even say teams, a lot of founders tell me, keeping the pipeline full without overwhelming internal staff is a real challenge. Sure, you could have taken that line out, but cool. All right, you're not spam. I run a service that books 5 to 10 qualified calls a month for teams like yours. No retainers, just pay per meeting. Open to hearing more. I'm either open. This is either right for me and I have the budget, or I don't. That's it. Don't take this personally. You're just trying to find your people. Best, George. P.S. If this isn't a focus right now, just reply no and I'll close the loop. Opt-out line. Why this works? Has everything we cover. The subject line. You can even take this template right here. Subject line and all. Subject line is short, curiosity based. So quick question. What's the question? In my head, I'm like, well, what's the question? I have curiosity now, right? The first line is there. It proves that it's relevant. I'm not marking it as spam. Thank you for making this relevant for me. It's not spam. I might just throw it in the trash. I might even give you the gift of replying to you and saying no or yes, but it's not spam. There's the problem statement, which shows a little bit more depth. There's the offer. There's the call to action. Am I open to hearing more? Sure, I might be. I might not be open to a call yet, but I might be open to hearing more. And then there's the opt out. Right? Decent. This email works because it has all the principles that we've covered. It's conversational and it's human. It's short. It focuses on the prospect's needs. It offers a clear, specific solution, and it makes replying easy and low risk to me. All right. So that's really it. If you stuck around this long, congrats. I hope you've been able to take away a lot of this stuff. I'll put the link to this Gamma doc in the description. If you run a B2B business and you are looking for help in booking more leads, booking more qualified leads, or improving your cold email performance, in the description, I will put a link to book a free strategy call with myself, and let's talk about how I can help you out. See you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.